Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a good Thursday, and if not, we'll try and make it a little better because we have some Final Fantasy 1 randomizer going on here. It's a battle between the Swiss brackets with a 4-1 to Edgeworth versus Tyerenex. Finished 3-2 in the brackets, had to make his way in here via the play-in race. And now they do battle. This is number 2 in the SRL standings versus number 8 in Tyerenex. So a battle of top 10s. Most recently that these two have showed down, it was advantage Tyerenex, although lifetime advantage Edgeworth, and he is without a doubt the top runners. I'm joined by one of the top people I could work with this evening. Wout, how are you, my friend?
Well, first of all, flattery will get you everywhere, but second of all, now it's one of those things. I think everyone is at a lifetime disadvantage against Edgeworth, so it only makes sense that Tyerenex is in the group of everyone, since he's not no one. But yeah, no, I'm doing pretty well. Just got back from work and am just settling in just in time to commentate this race with you, Trenton. So I think we're still waiting for everyone to get settled on the other end of things, but we should be good to go soon.
Yeah, we just have a little bit to go. Edgeworth has just consistently been setting blazing times under these flags. It's almost ridiculous how he's done. Tyerenex is no slouch. He's been very competitive throughout. And we will see them off and running anytime now.
Well, we're not going to see them running tonight. I don't see a thief on either side.
Well, you know, you don't have to run from things that are dead.
Well, I will grant you that. You also don't have to kill things that you're not fighting.
But then you don't get experience.
Experience schmerians. There's enough things you can kill later on to make up for the running away.
So, incidentally, let's talk about the forced party members real quick. Fighter is forced throughout this round. The second forced by the seed. That turns out to be the white mage, and the black mage is banned for the round.
Yeah, so instead they just decided to go with the black mage, but better. So, can't fault them on that front.
Certainly the best hat in the game.
Alright, the runners are about to ready up, so...
Just a minor detail. We're slightly out of it today. Apologies.
I don't know. I did appreciate you immediately /K-palming to rejoin the race there, Trenton. Someone didn't find his home keys before he started typing.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do things in a quick fashion, but I'm using SRL, so I should just click the join box. But lessons learned. Something really easy to do in retrospect.
Yeah, either way, they are off, so the stream should catch up here in a minute. We're going to find out what's in our first level spells.
Yeah, so it's always interesting with the red mage. Statistically, you're going to be fine. You're going to get access to most things you want, on average, but sometimes they're not quite as useful. You're really hoping fast rolls at a level that is very usable, and then you are also hoping that that you're able to get, say, Cure for Life 2 at a reasonable point.
Yeah, but an early fade is not a bad way to start that off. And that might be the only... Yeah. But if you have Fade, do you need Harm 3?
It might situationally have value, but not a ton.
I don't even know if it's situational. I think, like, Harm 3's damage against undead is still lower than Fade's. Like, I think Harm 3 caps out at, like, either 240 or 320, and then Fade caps out at 360, so... You're always going to wind up doing more damage with the, Fade.
it's not a case where I'd be upset over having either one as we get our runners synced up. Tyerenex is getting the bridge cutscene out of the way. Let's see, well, Cleosis really has made that a popular play lately.
Well, I'm wondering, I wasn't paying enough attention, but I'm guessing they didn't see any save items in the item shop in Grenarius, so that may have factored into Tyerenex's decision-making there.
It certainly can. When you talk about one level giving you 3 more charges of Fade, that kind of goes a long way.
Yeah, that's also true. I always like going ahead and picking up that extra level just because there's just enough variety in Temple of Fiends to where if you're going into Temple of Fiends, you're gonna suffer a little bit.
Well, yeah, you might find spiders that have fire too and wipe out your party and make you reset and have to go back in to the point where Edgeworth says, I don't even want the rune sword, I'll just fight Garlet.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Like, that was the most consistent thing that I did the entire Swiss round. Oh, they're ambush spiders. I missed that the first time through. Yeah, that was one thing I was very consistent about doing was I just skipped Temple of Fiends. But there is a ruby and an adamant out of the king and the princess, so...
When I rolled the sea, the Zar talked about Ice Cave, and I said, no, it's from me. 95% ruby required.
And I see that... Go ahead.
That's what the seed is telling us so far. You better be prepared to use that ruby.
Yeah. Now that adamant, I don't imagine either of these runners are going to do that, but it does open up the possibility of just saying, you know what, I don't care what's at Matoya, or what's in Matoya's chests, or at Provoke at the moment. I'm going to just follow the adamant and see what happens.
I'd really call that more of a gamble play. I could see perhaps Tyerenex doing that as a potential to maybe make up some ground on Edgeworth. I just can't imagine Edgeworth ever making that play unless the overworld was just completely awful and he needed to make sure he got there safely.
I mean, it's one of those things, if you don't plan to follow it all the way down to Elfland, it's a fast check that can pay off with a ship or a canoe. And, you know, in terms of chest checks, you're not losing much ground because you're checking those 2 dwarf chests over the 2 Matoya chests.
Well, it turns out there's an Excalibur in Matoya's and just some gold with the dwarves.
Yeah, but...
Big Beard Sword is kind enough to give us the canoe.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, of the 2 sets of chests, I'd rather have the dwarf chest at this phase. Because you couldn't get that rune sword out, so you might as well pick up some weaponry.
Oh, but that doesn't do you any good till class change.
Yeah.
In fact, it looks like Tyerenex says that's not enough, and he's now gonna go back.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying, is you make that dwarf check, you know, it's equivalent to your opponent checking Matoya, you actually get to check an item, and then you can turn around and go do what they did, but now you have the canoe, so you can just keep going after that.
So a couple things. Upon finding Melmond, Edgeworth made sure he went over far enough to see which NPC is here, because between Dr. Un, the Elflin nurse, and Bahamut, they can switch positions around. Quake's at level 5. Edge is taking a lot of these desert tiles. I think he's trying to find what the first encounter is. That's a 9-pack of Geists, which he should have no problem with Fade. But they ambushed him, so he didn't like it. The best encounter here, in my opinion, is the 9 pirates. How often they're going to show up varies, but you can make a lot of early ground with them.
Yeah, the one match I won in the Swiss bracket, that was part of what I did, was I actually ground on pirates because they were like 2 steps in and first encounter in the table. So it was very easy to pick up a few levels there for digging into some of the other crap. But, yeah, pretty much anything that you can take in Melmond early on is going to have some value to it.
A lot of really good experience in gold, potentially. Pirates just have the advantage of basically always being easy, at least in terms of HP. Like our percentages, currently the cap's at 500% is the highest something can go, and pirates still don't have a lot of HP at that.
Yeah, now, we do have unsafe pirates on, so it's not as much of a sure thing with this flag set. Or I guess allow unsafe pirates.
Yeah, that means they can roll some AoE that's devastating in its impact, but once we have AoE, then it's just a question of an initiative battle. As long as we're able to get one of those off, they're all gonna die.
And considering the magic situation at the moment, we're getting that AoE off.
So far, what we've seen is the Ruby and the Adamant coming from the Royals. We have seen Tyerenex turn in that Adamant for the Canoe, which could, interestingly, lead him to go to Ice Cave from here in the next incentive location. Edgeworth is likely to swing down to find out what's at Elfland. That is just a nice pile of money that the dwarves were hoarding today. Yeah.
It allowed Tyerenex to go ahead and get some nice gear, get plenty of cabins for the trip ahead. And I will point out we did see Fog 2 at level 5 White Magic. Not the defense spell you generally want, but if the cards fall in the wrong places, then I don't complain about having Fog 2, you know, somewhere convenient in terms of spell slot gain.
Yeah, if you lack Invis 2, it's an okay thing to add, because the advantage of it is you're still going to get some defense against normal attacks. The bad thing is, what you're kind of worried about in both cases is crit.
Yeah, but it's one of those things, you know, you sometimes get into situations where the normal attacks are bad enough that anything helps, and you might need to conserve your Invis 2 shots.
This is true. So Edge is on the walk towards Elfland, while Tyerenex is working the river system towards Crescent Lake. So we're going to find out what two towns are in very short order here.
It's going to be Lefane and Onrak.
Well, we have to have access to either the ship or the floater.
Yeah, it's called the Ice Cave.
Well, we get Provoca. So advantage Tyerenex on this exchange. Fire 3 is going to be at level 2. It's not Ice 3, but it's not bad.
I'm so looking forward to when I can get excited about Lock 2. Life, Cure 4, and Heal 3 at level 2 White Magic. That is going to eat up your spell slots like crazy, but also you have plenty of level 2 slots to go around.
Yeah, if I followed that right, what Tyerenex did was split the difference, give one of his red mages Cure 4, one of them Heal 3. Because they've got to get Fire 3. That's pretty necessary. The White Mage, however, is perfectly fine picking up all 3 of them.
And we have Poison Touch Pirates today. Too bad they only got to poison one person. Tyerenex did pick up Cures, right?
Yeah, you usually will pick up a few, and they had a bunch of money. Crystal, so we get to trek back to Matoya, or check the Ice Cave as our options right now. Those are really cheap heals. Nice price on them.
I mean, why not just check the Ice Cave and then turn it into Matoya? That seems like the obvious thing to do.
Assuming you can live.
You have Fade, you have Fire 3, and both of these runners have
actually for Ice
gobs of money.
Hey, you get 2-3 more levels, and yeah, you'd have enough charges for Ice Cave.
Okay, well, you're at Crescent Lake, and you have Fire 3 and Fade. Getting a few more levels is not going to hurt that much.
Looks like that's what Tyerenex wants, and he gets first encounter Peds, who go ahead and just, throw Toxic at him.
Yeah, fortunately, he at least has a Pro Ring on his White Mage, so he'll be able to pick up whichever party members don't survive these encounters.
If he wants to.
I
He
think
does.
I think with having Life and Cure 4, this is not a seed where you're going to want to Dan your red mage, at least until you get a few more charges on there. Just because that's going to be the bulk of your healing.
Crabcakes in chat brings up another point that you could do the armory dip. I think the hesitation right now is not enough supplies in the way of heals.
Who needs heal potions? You have Cure 4, you have Heal 3, they're at level 2, go for it.
You make a very compelling argument. It looks like it's compelling enough for Tyerenex because he started sailing north.
Yeah, I don't think Tyerenex stocked up on like 90 heal potions. I didn't notice if Edge did, but I think he was more focused on healing items and utility than anything in terms of like maxed out heal potions. And realistically, you don't need maxed out heal potions until Topher. No dungeon's really long enough to necessarily justify it, but he's going to make a liar out of me. That's 80 heal potions.
Yeah, Tyerenex has enough. Some dungeons are capable of eating up that many, but if you're on this path and you're thinking, well, I'd like to get Ice Cave too, then you'd certainly want 80-90 for both Volcano and Ice Cave. It might not even be enough.
Oh, that's right, they don't have a thief, so they can't avoid most of the damage. My bad. Look,
Now,
I
if four
stand
party
the use
members
of
running away,
thieves.
you'll still have a very decent chance of getting away from encounters you want to.
Yes, but in my experience, when you don't have a thief, it's always the last party member who wins the coin flip.
6 gold. This is,
Like right there. 4 party members had a 50-50 shot, and it was the last one who actually succeeded. Anyway, you were saying, Trenton?
The chest that Tyerenex is checking, this is where we started seeing some different strategies lately. And some runners have taken to leaving these out-of-the-way chests on the second floor until they've cleared Volcano, and if they don't find anything, then they come back in here and pick these up. I don't think either way has been proven, but just saying that it is a divergence we're seeing.
I mean, I think knowing that they didn't get that rune sword early on, it may also just kind of be a, I want to have something better than silver or hand axe. So let's see if I can at least get something.
Ooh, 4 peds. Usually a very good source of early game experience. We're up to level 10 now, which as far as the 14-minute mark, when you look over match after match of this tournament, not common that we would be this high a level that early in the seed. But it's the volcanoes, there's a bunch of experience-rich encounters, and we have the ability to kill things. We also have the Vorpal. Some flame armor as well. So the defense added. Grey worms don't offer much, and there's the loose crown. We have loose item number 1. And now we have a lot of reason to get over to the western side of this continent with the crystal for Matoya. Now the crown to go see Astos as well. The light axe is also great for fighting undead. So we add that to our repertoire.
Yeah, that's going to be really convenient if they both plan to go to Ice Cave after this, which I'll be shocked if neither of them do.
It's a tough call now when you've got 2 checks to go do that are not Ice Cave. And the Gargoyles are firing off Fire 2 and Tyerenex. Hey, Brack for good measure. Now he has nothing. Good day, sir. Hey, somebody just said, I don't think you can unfree the seed at this point. Gargoyles, are you? Tyerenex is going to come back in here, re-get the Light Axe, the Vorpal, the Crown, and a Wear Sword, too.
But yeah, I think you still think about doing the Ice Cave dive, just because it's such a long walk back if you still need to go do it. And, you know,
Well,
I don't know. I feel like Ice Cave, with the spells we have and the items we have, is potentially free enough, which I know is weird to say about Ice Cave, but...
it's a long walk back either way, because if it turns into the floater, you're going to have to come back here with the canoe from... When I say turn into the floater, I mean either the Crown or Crystal. But, so yeah, the shortest route would be Ice Cave turning into floater. But you don't always get the easy way.
Yeah, I'm just saying, with the setup that these runners have, I would feel comfortable diving Ice Cave at this point. Like, as bad as its reputation is, unless everything atrocious in the game rolled onto the enemies in Ice Cave, it's a completely defeatable dungeon in one go at this point. Like, the biggest thing you lose is the time spent making the second run through the basement.
Looks like Tyerenex is going to take some fights against these fires. He found them to be easy enough, and now he wants to see if he can't get a few more levels and a bit more stability and durability here. Levels do give you magic defense, which is always a welcome thing. They also give you more hit points, so for just ticky-tack damage like Fire 2 is, a few of these just make a difference.
Yeah, and the fact that Tyerenex is doing this suggests to me that, bare minimum, he's planning to go kill Carrie. But depending on how much higher he goes with the levels, he may also be considering a Ice Cave play.
Right, vamp for me a minute here while I figure something out.
Alright. Can do. So, yeah. Look, at the very least, Tyerenex is going to go ahead and dig out Agma Floor, it looks like, which I do not hate this move, even if you're not planning to kill Carrie, which he totally is planning to kill Carrie. Just because you have a lot of chests down here, you have a couple more trap tiles you can use to maybe pick up a little more experience if you wanted. And, yeah. Nah, like... The biggest thing is, Carrie can roll to be a holy terror in these flags. And just in general.
Alright, so unfortunately, Edgeworth had a blue screen and lost all his progress. So, for the moment, our action continues, and if we have an update on that, we'll share.
Yeah, so for those of you who were disappointed in how free this seed is, it's going bye-bye. Tyerenex has agreed to a reroll, which, you know, that's kind of what you would expect with the folks around here. So, yeah, Tyerenex has just put in the .quit. I expect Edgeworth is going to not be too far behind him, and we will get a new seed set up as quickly as we can. Until then, enjoy the lovely volcano music.
Spaced again.
Yeah, you put the space in again. I was about to type it.
Alright, so we had the crash on Edgeworth side. Tyerenex has agreed to the reroll. They will get this up momentarily. Fortunately, we weren't any deeper into this seed than that. And these are two very capable runners, so we could still be done in a very reasonable time frame from here. I mean, overall, obviously from here. So we will see their parties change here on screen.
Either that, or you managed to roll 2 forced white mages.
I don't think we have Edge's stream back online just yet. Hopefully soon. Well, it would have been interesting to see how that played out, because there was a lot of room for divergence right there.
Well, hopefully the new seed is going to be just as divergent.
To answer a question in chat, yes, we go with a new seed in this case. Well, it's a that's a different thing.
So, what we've learned today is Tyerenex wouldn't bring a white mage unless he's forced to. Either that, or Tyerenex really likes the color red.
Oh, hey, remember that comment from like 10 minutes ago of there's no way this seed could get unfree? This is not what we had in mind.
Yeah, who said that? Because your free talking privileges are revoked.
Okay, looks like Edge is back online now, so we should see him catching up here in a moment. Tyerenex is taking advantage to step away just real quick, so it'll be a minute or two before we get back at this. And we'll see if Edge changes some party decisions with the extra red mage.
Yeah, to answer the question in chat for the folks who looked away for a minute, Edgeworth unfortunately suffered a crash, and so Tyerenex gracefully agreed to re-roll the seed, so we now have a forced red mage instead of a forced white mage. And Tyerenex has decided that if he's not forced to take a white mage, then, you know what, bleach is expensive.
Well, it's sunny out. He needs the hats to cover his eyes. Gotta have a good hat.
For a brief moment there, I was thinking, is Edgeworth going to be the one who finally does it? Is he just going to say 3-man strat time? But no, he's going 2 fighters, 2 reds, which... Is that still the meta in, like, the actual speedrun of this game?
You know, I don't follow vanilla speedruns a lot, but at last I heard it is.
Yeah, that's the last I heard, but I don't really... I haven't kept up with the vanilla in, like, a year, so I don't know either.
Alright, so we're going to get them started again to our wonderful tracker, Alley Giraffe. We're going to need a read on the tracker to take everything off. You see you're catching up with it now. Alley's pro. We're lucky to have him today.
Alright, One Fine Day down in chat letting us know that Edge's Party is still the meta for single segment of the vanilla game, so this should be interesting.
If I'm up on my terms correctly, that would mean they don't do resets for resetting the encounter table. They just keep playing from start to finish.
Okay, so Life 2 is free, and Cure 3 is actually also free.
And Edge has rerolled his party. You don't see this very much.
He wants that Cure 3. That's the only... Oh, and Exit! That's what he wants. I didn't even see that because I wasn't even looking at that slot. So Exit is completely locked out to Tyerenex if he doesn't reroll, and Edgeworth wants that free Exit. So that may be a huge advantage for Edgeworth making that heads-up play.
You just don't see that very often. And it will wreck your names. If you had a naming scheme going on, it just wrecks you because you gotta just name them A or something to get out of it.
Yeah. But, it's definitely one of those things. I'm wondering if Tyerenex is thinking that that extra red mage worth of offense is worth the lack of exit on the in the long term.
Well, it's just not a lot of people who are willing to reroll the party. I'm not sure 1 out of 10 players right now are willing to reroll the party based on something they see at level 1. So
I think Exit is one of those spells that would prompt me to go, you know what, I want a white mage. But you know what else prompts me to want a white mage? White mages.
a question in chat. Can you not reuse the same name? You can, but Edgeworth wants them to be different names so that he can identify from menus which one they are. If he's in a shop, he wants to know which party member is which. Got a wear sword in the first chest, so a little bit of offense. The biggest thing Exit does for you is Ice Cave, Marsh Cave. Our Marsh Cave is moved back. Ice Cave could still be fairly early, so there's a chance of finding Warp. Of course, he uses it here because why not?
Yeah, that's the thing, is Exit saves you a lot of steps over the course of the game. And also, it allows you to kind of... If you wind up in a situation where your progression is in a dungeon that wound up rolling something nasty, then that can come in very handy to have that exit that lets you kind of make a few probing strikes, get the best encounter table you can, while also getting to check things if you still need to open chests.
Canoe and the bottle come from our royals. But yeah, there's a lot of subtleties like Edge using the exit there. Even things like when you go talk to Narek, instead of walking out of the dwarf cave, being able to cast exit there. There's a lot of those little subtleties where exit can help.
Yeah, and I mean, just having that dedicated healing firepower on the white mage may also come into play, because, you know, that level 1 slot is going to be spent splitting time with our cheapest AoE unless we find Provoca again early on.
Cabin's affordable enough to pick up a few. We've got the canoe, which has a couple benefits. Not only do we not have to walk around those rivers, but the transition you won't get an encounter, so a few of those worked in help speed things up.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm wondering is, with this early canoe, are we going to see either runner make the river play again? Or is one of them going to decide to make that? Well,
she just
Okay,
couldn't find
look.
where she left it.
look, this morning I had the same problem. Like, I was running behind getting to work because I just could not find my crystal.
I don't think I've ever seen lazy crystal happen before, but hey, it's amusing and we'll take it.
I'm just saying, anyone who wears glasses has had that exact same problem.
Sure. So with the ship, we're going to be able to travel at a quicker pace. There's less encounters on the sea. The speed is actually the same. We move faster on the overworld now than we used to, but that's at ship speed. So as far as steps, it's even, but you need less steps on the sea generally than you do on land.
Shout out to Trent for
neither of
dropping that. Go ahead.
Neither of them have been to the town at Provoca yet. I thought they'd sail over there with the ship, but they come back to Canary first.
They found a 12,000 gold chest in Matoya, so they're stocking up while they can.
That's not an unreasonable play. In fact, veteran move for Tyerenex to use up a couple heals so that he could buy a stack of 10 instead of being short.
Yeah, what that suggests to me is he may be planning on making a little bit of a river expedition if he wants to max out his heals.
Well, with heals, there's 2 towns with item shops that don't sell them. And then there's 2 towns without item shops. So there's no guarantee any shops you go to are going to have them, or any towns you go to are going to have them. So when you have that early chance to get stocked up, it's a good idea. Edgeworth is the first one into Provoca and finds Gaia, so we're going to get the bottle check. Arm 4 is at level 7, not the biggest priority. Silver bracelets at a very reasonable price.
The cat claw actually at a pretty reasonable price. Not that anyone's going to need that, but, you know, it's there.
I mean, there's reasonable price for the cat claw, and then there's reasonable price for the weapon that it is. And maybe with weapons fixes off, you'd consider that cat claw, but I don't think so.
Hey, I'm just saying, you never know where the things that you want are going to be.
We have the tail coming from the ferry, which means we don't have any immediate sources of progress. Now, with the canoe, we have access to Ice Cave, Waterfall, and Castle Ordeals as far as incentive locations. You can go into Marsh Cave, but without the Mystic Key, you can't get to the incentive location yet. And I thought Edge would slide down to check Elfland first, but he did not.
He may be planning to do it as part of a sweep toward
Crescent
Lake area,
yeah.
or coming from Crescent Lake heading toward Onrak. That is the nice thing about Elfland, is you can check it from either side of the inner sea.
That's true, and there's definitely times where that pays off. Also, if you want to go south from Elfland, it'll take you to Castle Ordeals. Tyerenex saw Provoca, but then didn't go for the pirates yet.
Tyerenex? Tyerenex, you have the tail!
I guess he was considering it. Did he want to?
The answer is yes! You don't have a black belt in your party. You see that dragon, you hand over that tail.
I think that, you know what? Let's bear in mind the situation we're in. This is their second seed in 30 minutes.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so very likely that, as Crabcake says, he was checking his notes to see what he actually had, and make sure this was the seed with the tail instead of the last one. Harm 3's at level 2.
Now, in this case, Harm 3 probably is worth grabbing.
Would we have AoE Black Magic side?
Lit 2.
Yeah, Lit 2, Harm 3, I'd do that.
And because I'm a bad commentator, I wasn't paying attention to who's in Dr. Oon's place.
You know, I was looking with the pirates.
Well, I mean, Edgeworth also checked it, I think, while we were staring at Bahamut, so...
Maybe. Maybe.
But apparently chat has failed us. I don't think anyone was actually looking. Okay, Brutask in chat saying Slab Guy is Slab Guy, so...
I was starting to wonder if Edge didn't check it, but that wouldn't be a very Edge-like play.
Yeah, which means even if we find the herb, it's going to need to wait until we're airborne to actually wake the prince up.
So we are also still looking for the vendor item as a note, by the way. And... you know, it's dangerous to try and get inside Edge's head and think like he does, but I'm stuck on the fact that Castle Ordeals is just straight south from here. Then it's just a slip on over and you're at the Onrak town with the waterfall there nearby. By that point, if you still don't have a sighting of the vendor item, you've got the oasis near. That just feels like the right play to me right now.
Yeah, I can't speak to whether it's the right play or not because I'm not very good at the game, but no, it's definitely a very strong option. The alternative is to go on a Grand River voyage, going through the Crescent Lake town. And I think of the two, personally, I take the Honorak play that you mentioned because I like Waterfall and Ordeals to get up to level 13 or 14, especially if I've got the AoE necessary to win those fights, which the runners do.
To be fair, I said feels like the right play. I didn't say it is the right play.
Oh yeah, knowing my luck, I'd make that play and it turned out the floater was an ice cave.
That is a good point in chat. With the exit, that incentivizes Waterfall for Edgeworth. I don't think the lack of it is enough to disincentivize the two incentive locations from Tyerenex. That's the biggest part of what I'm thinking of, is we've got 2 locations up there for incentive items, and not a few loose chests that could have something. Tier 4 is at level 5, not learnable by the Red Wizards, so it's locked out completely. Tyerenex has got some pirates.
Yeah. Now, he did pick up Warp, though, from the level 5 Black Magic, so he is at least going to have something to work with, eventually.
Yeah, now, again, if you do Ordeals first, I mean, Warp is great to have for Ordeals, but you need enough charges to really make that worthwhile. You can get out of Waterfall faster with just the one, so that's probably the way I'd go. Edge is going to go to Crescent first. And he gets looped. Or looped? I don't know. Tyerenex is going to make the play towards Ordeal.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I like this. He's got the firepower to get through Ordeals. He's going to pick up a lot of good experience along the way, potentially. And... you know, you get an incentive item at the end, you get a bunch of chests that are pretty easy to check. But first you get stared down by these pirates. Wow! You get stared down by these pirates!
Well, you know, they change uniforms, they get a little more difficult, that's the kind of thing that happens. That's why you buy a couple sauce before adventuring in the world. So the routing divergence has let Tyerenex get here first. Edgeworth wasn't able to get anything by going to Crescent first. Now, can you make some headway with that advantage?
And just to answer the question that came up in chat that we've already typed down an answer to, if you're enjoying this show and want to come talk to the cool people like us, then if you head over to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, you can find links to the Discord there, and come hang out. You can learn how to play the game, and with any luck, maybe even learn how to play the game correctly.
There is no correct way to fight Gargoyles, they're just jerks. Tyerenex takes a wipe, he has to start over through the maze. The good news about Castle Ordeals is when you know the right path, it's really not long, as they do seem to have Death Touch today. So, yeah, they're jerks.
Death Touch on Gargoyles, that's almost as bad as Death Touch on lobsters.
Zombles with Cure 4. Well, I guess it's good that it's not on something worse, but it's bad enough Edgeworth says, get me out of here. And a six-pack, because, 3 of them wasn't enough.
Well, Tyerenex manages to get away from them, and... Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that, because if nothing else, he's scouting the encounter table and finding out how deep the Gargoyles madness goes.
Unrunnable Zomble.
This is what you get for not buying Harm 3. Just say.
Yeah, if he'd had Fire 2 at one of those slots, like at first or second level, then yeah, don't bother with Harm 3, but without Fire, then Harm 3 is just as good as Fire 2. And actually probably a good bit better, but not as good as Fire 3 would have been.
Tyerenex has not seen this Cure 4 yet, so he's not throwing out all the spell charges as the Zomble's just been difficult.
Well, no, he saw the Cure 4 right at the beginning of the fight.
Okay, my bad.
And Edgeworth looks like took a wipe on the Nightmares. I didn't see what they had, but
They had mute.
it was enough. Oh, that's great.
And apparently they were unrunnable too, so that's going to be problematic. There's a certain point at which you say, let's go see the waterfall first.
See, this is why I always try to strap a sword onto my red mages. It's not ideal, but if they get muted, I like being able to punch things with them, and, chip something down quickly.
And that is a good point in chat that the Nightmares are in Waterfall too. Oh hey, Edge did buy Harm 3, so yeah, he's a little more happy to see the Zombles. I think he's going to check this chest. Or was that the path and I missed it?
I mean, he was going to check that chest. But that is the path.
Okay. Now Tyerenex finds out about the unrunnable Nightmares. Who
they have Blaze! That's the problem!
So this is going to be get through Castle Ordeals without fighting an Gargoyle fight. Get to the mute casting Nightmares and get initiative and kill them with AoEs first, hopefully.
Or, and this may just be crazy talk, you could go to Volcano. And then Ice Cave.
It is an option that exists.
And maybe an ice shield or an ice armor or something that assures someone will actually survive this stupid dungeon.
The other thing is not necessarily in the waterfall, but going to the waterfall. That river has some higher level encounters. We don't have great spells for dealing with it, but the Lit 2s, there's enough of them that you probably could get through a couple of those and really get your level up.
Yeah, Lit 2 and Ice 2 aren't the worst things I could think of for farming that river, but again, there's a whole volcano and an ice cave that doesn't have nightmares. Or, well, okay, there are Ordeals in the volcano, but maybe they got buried.
Well, this is problematic for Edgeworth. Yep, he only had one AoE caster. He's trying again. So this could come... Oh, Tyerenex got through.
Yeah,
That's big.
He got one nightmare, and his fighter and 2 of his red mages won initiative, so he was able to just ice 2 through the one nightmare and go. Now he's just got to get to these stun touch sorcerers.
You'll take it via contrasts. You'll also take it via versus vanilla. Up to level 8 now, so this is big. Now just do not accidentally step on that tile again.
He is a practiced hand, he'll be fine. And note that he took that as deliberately and slowly as you possibly could, short of actually holding down the walk button.
I would have actually held down the walk button, but that's me.
Oh, I absolutely would have too. I hold down the walk button when I'm on the floater floor in ice.
Ribbon! We needed that 5 minutes ago, but we'll take it now.
And a coral sword. That's going to be handy for diversifying our arsenal here.
TNT. Now, do we survive the zombie dragons is the question. I'd like to kill it. It's hitting a little hard. And you know it has a spell list. I probably would have put one of my party members on running away. But Tyerenex is through. And up to level 9.
Yeah, he may have just wanted to see, like, just how beefy they were in case he bumps into them elsewhere.
I love that. Saves before taking the first step. That is a big thing that is easy to forget. Now, Edge gets the one nightmare this time. Does he get initiative? Ice 2 gets off. Mute comes off. Can he get it with swords? Not enough. Sleep doesn't work. The nightmares gave him a break. Only 16 damage. This is a very high evade enemy.
Yeah, nightmares are kind of a nightmare like that.
He's got enough... Well, he lives through fire too. Living through blaze could be a stretch.
Yeah, he's not going to make it through the blaze if it comes up. He has to hope that he kills before the RNG just decides it's blaze time. And there's blaze time.
Yeah. So we can see on Tyerenex's side why runners make this play, because they know if things fall right, they can get through. The question is, how much time are you willing to risk for that reward?
Oh, Erebus has had, Blizzard.
Yep. So we're seeing fire and ice coming out. Now, it's still a bold play to go into Waterfall knowing about the nightmares. Although without Elfland being located yet, we've got a 1 in 3 chance that that's hanging around over at the Onrak area.
Well, Tyerenex hasn't actually seen Crescent Lake area yet.
No, he hasn't, but we know that it's a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, as bad as the nightmares were, I think I'd have to go check that town location anyway. I'd at least feel comfortable saying, I'll stick my head in Waterfall and see what happens in terms of just what that RNG table looked like. Because, you know, nightmares could have gotten rolled somewhere rare enough to where I can be in and out and never see a horse.
The other thing about coming over here that it doesn't involve nightmares is 2 checks for the vendor item, which we still have not seen. You've got the town, and we've already seen Lefane and Melmond, so this will be a shop location town. Then we've also got the Oasis.
Edgeworth made it through a double nightmare fight, so...
Well, you only had to get through once, as long as he doesn't run into gargoyles, which I don't think they're on this floor.
Yeah, he got a 222.
Never mind.
Come on, Edge, get away! For the love of Pete, get away! Please,
Can't
Edge!
run.
Oh
No!
no!
At this point, Edge might be wishing he had started from scratch on the first and just fought a Tyerenex the 20 minutes.
Well, on the bright side, at least none of us are ever going to forget that Argoyles are also on that floor.
Oh. Would you give up after this many tries? Well, he literally just got through the last run, so he knows he can do it, and that is usually the biggest thing you see for runners is if they know they can get through it, they stick it out. If they're not sure they can get through it, they leave. Oh, he got a free round. The Nightmare just attacked.
Yeah, he is good.
So we do have Elflin, and we have Nuke, so this was a great check.
Nuke and Temper at level 3.
What'd you say the second one was?
Temper.
Temper. Good find. Would rather fast, but good find.
I mean, yeah, because if you have to split your slots between Nuke and a buff, fast you only cast once or twice a fight. Whereas Temper, you know, you have to decide with each one, is this worth giving up a Nuke?
Saber was also at level 4, and that's something you're actually going to want on at least one Red Wizard. Was also asked in chat, what's in Temple of Fiends? And, well, Edge just showed the first thing, which was a ribbon. He put it on the White Mage to hopefully survive Death Touch.
Ribbon's not going to help with Death Touch if memory serves.
Oh, it's just magic defense. If he was at a higher level, would be his best shot.
So I'm wondering now, is Edgeworth going to... Has Edgeworth been power cycling this whole time? Because I think a reset would be in order at this point.
He's been taking different encounters every time because the first cycle has too many Argoyles, and that's kind of true the first two. So he'd have to burn something like 6 encounters to get off the Argoyles. As for what the final item was in Castle Ordeals, that was the TNT.
Man, you know it would have been really helpful to have brought along in this situation? Well, there goes the dream of Nightmares not being very early in the encounter table, or not being showing
honestly,
up
I'd reset
the encounter
out.
table.
I'd reset out. That's your first encounter. There's no reason you have to take one that early.
Yeah, would too.
Yeah, and do it again. I wouldn't even try it for RNG. I'd just reset out of this. Hear that early and find out what the rest of the encounter table is like.
But the flip side, Tyerenex has nukes now.
You do, but do you have enough to get through is the problem.
He's got it on...
I don't think he has a warp charge.
No, he doesn't. But I think he's got at least 3 shots on each of his red mages of nuke. So... unless nightmares are just continuously happening in this dungeon, which so far it's looking like they are, he should have enough nuke shots, and he's got Ice 2 to keep things from going down.
That was first 4 encounters are nightmares. This is just not nice.
See, I would have slapped that ribbon onto one of my red mages at this point, to protect them from that mute.
And they're putting this party to sleep, too. This is just not a good situation. So we still haven't seen the vendor item. We've got 3 possible locations for it to still be in. One of them is the Oasis.
Yeah, there we go. He's putting the ribbon on one of his red mages, so that mute is much less of a threat now. Because he's always guaranteed to be able to get off something in terms of AoE.
Another nightmare. I don't think he power cycled here. Because why would you? You've seen how bad this is. This is the unfortunate side of the encounter table shuffle, is sometimes this happens.
Yeah, but fortunately, Tyerenex does have the tools to get through this. It's not going to be fun, but he has the tools to get through it.
Well, he's got to do it twice is the problem. Here we go, something else. There are other encounters in here.
Yeah, and the thing is he can use his Lit 2 shots on these, so he even conserves all of his nightmare damage. I don't hate this play.
Now, a couple Whiz Mummies, this is pretty good experience, too. And that's the other thing, you level up as you're here, you're that much stronger, and you're that much more durable against everything that's been killing you. But wow, that was like the first 6 encounters I think were nightmares. We finally get one without him, and then here's more. And I wouldn't fault him at all for using a nuke there. It's sure not wasted in this seed. Edgeworth has gotten past this nightmare trap tile twice so far. Both times has seen the Death Touch Gargoyles that have denied him. He knows a ribbon is here, and I wonder if that isn't even a big consideration along with the key item. I don't think he's doing this for just the item. I think he's saying item plus ribbon.
I mean, he also may be doing this from the perspective of knowing that, you know, if he goes to Volcano, those Argles are there. They're not deep, but they are there, and if the encounter table is unfavorable, they could be all over the place. And nightmares are in waterfalls, so it could just be the reasoning of, I'm going to have to slam my head against the wall somewhere, so why travel to do it?
Yeah, plus if you're able to get out with the ribbon, then you have that ribbon for everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he knows he can get through here, and if he can get out with all the goodies, then that's going to make the other potential roadblocks more palatable. So, I don't hate this move.
Tyerenex is trying to get through this Whiz Mummy trap tile. There's a bunch of them here, so this is worth a lot. It's up to level 12 now with this highest. The robot gives us the Adamant, so now with TNT and Adamant in hand, we have a lot of incentive to go back to the dwarves. White Shirt is a welcome addition to our equipment roster.
Yeah. Now Tyerenex has to get out of here, and I think he still has more than enough firepower to take care of business. Yes, that's... Yeah, he has 5 nuke charges still. So,
yeah.
He's going to burn one here, but that's still going to leave him with 4 nukes to clear out the rest of this dungeon, so...
Should be enough as long as the encounter rate isn't too bad. Here is the other question. In the unlikely scenario, he takes a wipe. I don't even know how unlikely that scenario is, actually. Does he go back in for that Adamant right away? It could lead to the floater, but you don't know that yet.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I think... Unless he takes a wipe like 2 steps out, where he knows he has the gas in the tank to get in and out, he probably go check Oasis for the vendor item, and then probably go off and do something else for a little while, and then come back with more gear, more experience, hopefully a charge of warp, and just get in and out and nobody gets hurt.
The nightmares
get hurt, but that's their fault.
Edgeworth has actually found some different enemies in Castle Ordeals, finally. He found some Medusas. The single nightmare this time. Does he get the initiative to go with it? Gets a nice 2 off.
But can't get the other, but that should be enough damage to where he can finish this out before anything bad happens. Knock on wood.
I also love the adjustment he's been making to use the heal potions. They're not as efficient in battle, but
well, he can't heal with
right now. You need to survive.
The drink command is also cut off by the mute spell.
I did not know that. Learned something new.
Yeah, if you noticed... Oh, I just realized what Edgeworth did. He exited after getting the ribbon, I think, based on how that white mage has been taking everything and not being affected.
Hey, the nightmares didn't have enough, so now they get rub.
Of course, if he does have a ribbon, that does not protect from getting punched in the face. Alright, his night is through.
Only
there's
level
no
7.
You might be right, Crab Cakes. His white mage may have just got... Yeah, never mind. Ignore me, his white mage just got super lucky.
Yeah. And Death Touch. Was that 3 or 4 times getting past the Nightmare encounter only for Death Touch?
I think that was the 4th time.
So it's just rough because Edge is good enough to work through an encounter cycle and start figuring out what's going to help me, but he's not been able to find one yet where he's not getting those gargoyles after getting past the trap tile.
Yeah, I think at this point you either need to find a safe spot on Ordeals 2 to gain some experience, or you just need to go, like, somewhere else. Like, at this point, he's probably wasting more time than he's gaining. But, speaking of getting out, Tyerenex has escaped the volcano with all the goods intact, and he's probably going to make that Oasis play, and then we'll see where he goes from there. Spoiler, it's going to be to Volcano and Ice, unless Adamant and TNT gives him the floater.
I still would swing over to the Oasis. Check that item.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely going to the Oasis, but after that, we'll see if he decides to check Dwarves first, or go ahead and get that last incentive location out of the way, aside from Locked Marsh.
58,000 gold to buy a vendor item with. That'd usually do the job. Tyerenex has said, no, I don't need to check that. I'll go turn in the items. That's going to feel really bad if it turns out to be the floater, by the way.
Yeah, no, like that has to be his line of reasoning there, is if I get the floater, then I can just check Oasis, immediately.
Edge has the ribbon and the coral sword again. Now what can he do with it?
Yeah.
Better. If he gets 2 more steps, he's good. He's got to... Oh, he had exit. He's fine. He got it.
Alright.
He did it.
GG Edge. So, now Edge gets to go find out about the nightmares in Waterfall. So, rip Edge.
Anything is going to feel better than that, though.
Or he's not. Is Edgeworth just going to go ahead and go turn in that TNT?
There's the ruby. We still have a chance for a ruby required seed. Narek gives us the key, so we get a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Dragonfire almost called that, saying TNT was going to lead Ruby.
That's a question of, do we get something really good out of here? I didn't see anything that really stood out.
Well, the other question is, do we dive Ordeals now? Or not Ordeals, do we dive Marsh now?
It's convenient. You have the key.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, is...
And it's honestly going to be easier than anywhere else we could go right now.
This is actually the most true part. And it looks like Tyerenex is at least going to check Northwest Castle. Like, you know, it's one of those things, either you check Marsh now, or you wait until you have the floater to check Marsh, which is going to be a problem if it turns out floater's in Marsh. Tyerenex has generally been being thorough, though, so... I wouldn't be surprised if he checks Marsh, but he's not.
Yeah, it's still Marsh, so you still have that mentality of, I really don't want to. But he's also got the ruby, so you can do the Sarda check. The only thing I don't really like is not having the Oasis check in the bank.
Yeah, that to me is the worrying thing. Now, you did point out, we do know where the two non-item shop towns are, so Tyerenex may have just figured, alright, there's a 2 and 3 shot that my vendor item is floater locked anyway. So, if it turns out it's at Oasis, well, GG Edge, but I'm going to take that guess that I don't need to go walk over to Oasis, and I can go check other things instead.
Alright, what does the key lead to? Just some money.
And a falchion.
Well, I mean, you could drop it, but it is worth some.
No, it's not. It's a falchion. Thing's worth maybe 200 gold if it rolled well.
That's some. That can buy you a couple heal potions. It's a non-zero amount.
But yeah, so Edge is going to go ahead and head into Marsh, while Tyerenex is going to go have a chat with Sarda.
I respect both plays. Sarda has the loot.
And Tyerenex is going to go ahead and walk this out.
Yes, this was not a Ruby required seat, unfortunately.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Unfortunately for us, but I mean, they deserve a break after that.
Well, Waterfall did have a white shirt in it, so it wasn't a complete waste of time. Like, that may come into play later if Edgeworth stumbles on the correct path and never goes to Waterfall.
Well, unless you gotta go up for the vendor item anyways. I mean, Elfland is there, so he's gonna want that magic.
Well, yeah, but you can check Vendor and Elfland and never set foot in Waterfall.
Hey, remember when I said this was better than anything else?
Oh my... What?!
I think Czar possessed my keyboard and rolled this seed.
This isn't even a Czar seed. This is just... This is just something that came from some dark nether realm of RNG.
It's a blizzard from the gargoyles. And honestly, Tyerenex is not going to have as hard a time with that as Edge, because Edge just got no levels. Tyerenex fighting through that waterfall is at a much better place right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Tyerenex, I always forget to check the Canary chests. I'm gonna be honest, so... And hey, we have a wizard staff, everyone! Oh, and opal armor. That's actually really good to see.
Yeah, that's going to be a very welcome sight. That's a huge pickup on defense, and the rod is what is at the bottom of Marsh Cave. So, let's see. Earth Cave has gargoyles.
It does have gargoyles, but
I think it also has arachnids.
But the Earth Orb, it's cutting off the sages. So, it's one of those things... You're going to want to do it sooner rather than later.
He does not have the ruby to do the Sarda check, so really his only plays here are Earth Cave or Waterfall. And I think he's saying enough of the nightmares. So, actually, considering we haven't seen Crescent Lake, it's floater blocked.
Yeah, but Edgeworth hasn't been to on-rack yet.
It's the vendor item in Oasis. If I'm not mistaken, we've seen everything else we have access to.
We haven't seen Ice Cave.
You're right. I'm sorry. I got all excited. My bad. I got too excited.
Excitement. That means it's now a coin flip whether floater is at Oasis or at Ice Cave.
Or a path to it. With Summit Look turn-in item.
There's no... Like, the Crown's the only turn-in item we have left. Because we know the Elf Doctor's at Cardia.
Mm-hmm.
So, Herb, we can't turn in Herb yet. We've already turned in the Dwarves. We've already turned in Matoya. Yeah, I think at this point, it has to either be Floater or Floaters at Oasis.
Riven number 2 in Earth Cave. That's going to be a very welcome sight.
Yeah, how many loose items are there in this flag set?
The answer is 3, but it's a stretch because, I mean, that's including Ribbon and Opal Bracelet as 2 of the potential.
Well, no one's been to Volcano yet, so that's also in play, I guess. But it looks like Tyerenex is going to make that Marsh play. Now, Tyerenex I can see going ahead and going for Volcano and Ice, because he knows that going ahead and doing Earth isn't necessarily going to lead to anything, while Volcano and Ice might.
Well, you're almost right, because he hasn't been over to Crescent Lake yet.
You're right.
But, you kind of just need to follow the seed, and if it's giving you the rod and you've got the incentive location over here, you just go ahead and get it done instead of doubling back later. Even if you don't have immediate access, it's not hurting you any to get it done now.
Well, with Tyerenex, it might be a little bit more of a decision, because Edgeworth parked his ship at the river right by Northwest Castle. Tyerenex is parked at the Inner Seaside dock of Elfland. So it's a little bit more of a, these are about the same distance between going to Earth Cave and going to Volcano.
Now, we've been talking about the incentive items. There's still places for this loose item to be. And, oh, by the way, Edge has only checked one of the 4 chests for the north side of Marsh, because he got the linked one. Tyerenex is going to the north side. Boy, if there's a loose item here.
Well, we're going to find out very quickly.
Or if it's just loose equipment. I mean, if you found Moss Immune up here, that could be big. We will see. It is a loose item! It is the slab!
Okay.
And that is going to be a long time coming for Edgeworth.
And I'm going to be honest, I forgot about that we have access to Lefane, so we do have 1 turn-in.
Unless that leads to Floater, that's a long time coming for Edgeworth. If it is the Floater, then it makes this a more linear seed, and he's going to kind of get forced there.
Yeah, but he's not going to get forced there until after Volcano and Ice.
You are correct. So, this just stands to be a significant time loss for Edge over the course of this seed.
Now,
Chat says it could still be the Opal Bracelet. Yes, it could. It could also be a ribbon.
Yeah, now, I would point out Tyerenex doesn't know where Lefane is yet, because as you pointed out, he hasn't been to Crescent. But, he knows where Melmond is, so he's going to get that turn in. And he'll probably, at this point, he'll probably do similar to Edgeworth. Except he'll go ahead and get that slab translated, and then probably also make the Earth play from there, because he's going to want to go check that town no matter what. And if he's going to make that commitment, then he might as well be ready for whatever.
Yeah, there's some debate about the potential merits of Slab, and there's really only one quote-unquote whammy item out there, and it's the Opal Bracelet. That's the only thing we could find that'd be not required at this point, unless it just happened to be the Zorda special and we get a cabin. And if that happens, I'm going to hide under a bunker when they get done with this seed. Not in a bunker, under the bunker, for extra protection. Hey, a pro ring! That's a very welcome sight.
Along with an obscene quantity of money.
Yeah, so far this Earth Cave has given Edge that second ribbon, not a lot of other value. We will soon have Tyerenex getting his incentive here, and have to see if anything else comes out of this Earth Cave. But I'm not Tyerenex. I don't know his play well enough to know what he'd do here, but considering the nightmares that we've seen, and I don't just literally mean the nightmares, going to Earth Cave with the rod is gonna feel right in this situation.
See, the thing is I think he has to feel at least kind of past the danger zone with nightmares at this point. Like, he's got enough firepower and enough healing to where he can get through a nightmare fight and then pick his party up.
He's certainly much better positioned to do it. Edgeworth was lagging considerably in levels. He's had a chance to catch a few of those up now, but still at a significant disadvantage to Tyerenex there. But we haven't dealt with a lot of the high experience dungeons yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen Chime, we haven't seen Cube. We do have the Oxyale, but have we seen Rack? I don't think we have. I think Onrak and Crescent
are the two not seen. We do see an Ice Sword, by the way, so a big pickup on weapons for Tyerenex. We are running out of treasures in this Earth Cave. Actually, we did run out of treasures in this Earth Cave, so all Edge got was a ribbon. And the Power Gauntlet is down here. I don't think Edge was in that room.
No, Edge made a beeline for the chest and left. Like, mostly because of the gargoyles.
I mean, that's hard to argue with, but that is... a lot of things are coming up to Tyerenex.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, like, he's got the white shirt, he's got the power gauntlet. Edgeworth is almost certainly never going to see that power gauntlet.
And even that ice sword. It's the best weapon we found to this point.
Very true. And that white shirt is a big question mark for Edgeworth. We know that Waterfall didn't lead to anything, so if he hits Go mode before checking Waterfall, he's probably not going to see that white shirt.
Tyerenex finds the rod. And this is also, I think, a case of the levels gave Tyerenex that advantage to find Power Gauntlet. Edge had a lot of risk with the lower levels. He would have been only level 7, 8 at the time. But Tyerenex coming in the double digits could afford to be a little bit more bold in exploring the Marsh Cave. But Lich is down. Edge has restored the first of our orbs. And I would imagine is sailing straight south from here to go to the waterfall because he's just got a real shortage of locations to go to.
Yeah. To answer the question, chat, yeah, the ruby was in the waterfall, and that gives you access to start it with the loot. However, because you don't need the loot to get the floater, you can just start it with the airship once you find the, once you have the airship. So, yeah, Ruby is not required in this seed, so Waterfall is not required in this seed. So if you happen to stumble into the floater before you check Waterfall, you're not going to check Waterfall.
So I don't know how I'd quantify it at this point because we haven't seen the whole of Volcano and we haven't seen Ice Cave. So it's not a 50-50 chance that we've got a vendor item in the Oasis. But,
No, we haven't seen
I mean, 1 in
Volcano at all.
3 doesn't sound unreasonable at all.
You're thinking of last seed.
Yeah,
Neither
well,
runner's been to Volcano yet with this seed.
This is why you better take notes when you're doing this stuff.
Or just have a ridiculously good memory for these things.
So Edgeworth is going to find the magic at Elfland and be quite happy about that. Looks like he's going to do the vendor check first. He's going to Oasis.
I mean, it's one of those things, he knows that vendor item is, you know, there are 2 checks over here. He knows that the 2 item shops are out of play. Or the 2 non-item shop towns are already in place, so if vendor item's floater, there's only a couple of places it can be at this point.
Yeah, he's also got the overworld here to get levels with, which I am sure is a factor for him wanting before going into Waterfall. And there's the cube, so it is the vendor item, but it's not the floater. The floater has to be via Ice Cave or Loose in Volcano.
Or Loose in Ice Cave.
Well, I didn't say Ice Incentive, I just said Ice Cave.
Okay, fine, jeez. But yeah, Tyerenex is going to follow that rod, it looked like. Or at least translate his slab.
Both are very sensible things to do. Because again, in his case, he hasn't seen the Crescent Lake town, so there's still a high probability that the rod leads to floater for him.
Yeah, and he doesn't know that Crescent Lake's Lefane, so he can immediately turn that slab in.
Doogie, if you just did that to our runners, what if Chime is the item and the floater is Loose in Mirage? Or Sky?
No, Duke's saying Sky because he's a bad person.
The possibility is there. But I will say the randomizer is usually going to do what I would call the easiest thing. So your flutter is usually going to be at a first level access point, not a second level.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the randomizer is necessarily trying to create a path of resistance, it's that the randomizer basically throws things at a wall and then checks to see if it's stuck. By which I mean whether or not the things that it threw at the wall is a completable seed. And so things that are buried second level like that tend to be things that you don't necessarily need to make immediate progress. Just because those seeds are more likely to fail because your progress winds locked behind the thing you need.
Yeah. So, for example, there's an equal chance of something being placed in a chest loose in the Marsh Cave as it is Sky. But there's a greater chance of, say, the cube being in Sky. Well, then you're not able to complete the seed, so it's going to reject that seed and say, well, let's do it over again.
Yeah, Tyerenex makes the play to Lefane. So, if Floater is here, then he is at a tremendous advantage, and there it is.
Tyerenex, his routing has been good, his efficiency's been good, and now he's going to be the first one airborne. At the 1 hour mark is actually not terrible under these flags.
Yeah, given how this seed's played out, that's a fantastic time.
It
Now,
really is.
Here's the problem, though, for Edgeworth. He's got to get through this volcano. He's then got to go check, unless he just has a flash of brilliance and realizes he needs to go back and open the chests in Marsh. He is going to clear Volcano and Ice completely before even thinking about Marsh Cave.
Yeah, Marsh is just not a place you're going to be inclined to go back to quickly. Now, the one counterpoint is he's going to have an item for the dwarf here. So you're going to do that turn in, and then you're going to be in the neighborhood of Marsh with higher levels. So there is a path that could take him back there. I'm not saying it's likely, I'm just saying it exists.
If he manages to do that, then Edgeworth is just the Galaxy Brain meme.
Although he ended up with a much better time through this waterfall than Tyerenex had.
I mean, yeah, has he even seen any nightmares?
I don't think he did.
It may be one of those things where he's just given up on power cycling.
Sometimes that's what you have to do. Sometimes it feels like it works against you.
Well, there really aren't any, hero runs in this seed. So I can see him just deciding, you know what? I'll just take runs where I find them and go from there.
Chad said he did reset out of 2 nightmare encounters at the beginning. So yeah, if that was the first thing he saw in, it would make perfect sense to hit that reset button as quickly as possible. And again, a quick thank you to all of you who have joined us here tonight on Speed Gaming 2. Also a big thank you to Ali Gerbrap doing our tracking in the background. We have Tyerenex versus Edgeworth. After a reroll was necessary tonight. During the first seed, Edge had a blue screen of death, lost his save file, lost everything. Tyerenex agreed to a reroll, so this is seed number 2 for these runners tonight, and I think both of them wish they had the first one back.
I mean, you don't know what kind of horrors were waiting for them. All we know is that they had level 1 Fade.
And we also know that level 1 Fade gets rid of a lot of horrors.
Pretty much. But level 3 Nuke also appears to be getting rid of a lot of horse.
True, but it was a little bit deeper in the seed. Could have used it for Ordeals. It would have made life easier there.
Well, we're about to find out what Sky has, because I'm pretty sure, or not Sky, Ice has, because Tyerenex should have at least 1 shot of Warp at this point.
Well, we know it's not the cube, so most likely scenario, I think, would be Crown.
And Chime is also on the table.
Yeah, that's true. Usually with incentive items. Well, it's the ribbon. Ribbon number 3 was the incentive item. So, with that... Is that all of our incentives? Well, we're not seeing Crown, but it's a loose Crown somewhere.
Yeah. So... Ruby was in an incentive location. Ribbon was in an incentive location. Tail was in an incentive location too, wasn't it? Yeah, so...
yeah. So yeah, I think Allie made notes for us. So Ruby was Smithy McBeard's sword. Let's just go through the list. Well, the king gave us the canoe, Princess the bottle, Matoya the ship. Smithy had the ruby, Narek the key. Vicky gave us the Oxyale. Lefane has the floater. Fairy gave us the tail. Vendor item is the cube at the Oasis. Roba gave us the adamant. Sarda has the loot. Castle Ordeals gave us the TNT. Ice Cave
Gave us the
ribbon.
crown.
What did we grab? Loose crown?
Yeah,
Ice-
loose crown in Frostwolf's chests.
Well, that gives us an automatic place to go next. Crystal was loose in Matoya, so we've already seen 2 of the... Yeah, we found 2 of the 3 loose items.
Yeah, so crown...
No, 3,
Crown's-
because the other one was slab.
You're right. So yeah, I think at this point...
The crown's gonna have to be the cube, or... Chime
crown
or cube?
either is chime or opal. Like, it is
Yeah.
literally a 50-50 shot that the chime is either at Astos or the sages at this point.
Yeah, this is just a case where the incentives rolled about as bad as they could for making our runners have to go find loose items. Dragon armor, that's something you're gonna go back for.
And bye-bye opal armor.
Yeah, it's like opal armor, but better.
And I'm just going to point out, this ice cave was relatively tame. Like, I don't think we really saw anything nasty out of anything, but Tyerenex also killed everything really quickly.
That does help.
Now, here's the thing. If that crown leads to, chime, that's going to be a problem for Edgeworth.
It does lead to the chime.
That's going to be a problem for Edgeworth.
Well, you know, yet again, this is going to be a case where the items do take him closer to that marsh cave. It's like, how many times can this seed throw you in that direction?
He's not going to go to Marsh Cave when he has all of Sky and Mirage to check through and doesn't know where the third loose item is.
I talk about possibilities, Woad. It's what I do.
Like, the best case scenario for Edgeworth is he takes a wipe here. Somehow.
Okay, we haven't seen the Sage's item either. That's how this works out. One of them is gonna... That's gotta be the cube. We've got
No,
the
it's the
cube.
opal bracelet. We already
Yeah.
have the cube. That was Vendor.
You're
The
right.
only incentive... Yeah. The only incentive we haven't seen at this point is the opal bracelet, and the only spot we haven't seen is Sage's, so...
Yeah.
That's how those line up.
So, the seed has really been in Tyerenex's favor. I don't think it feels like that at the moment. But
Oh,
when
yeah,
you're
no.
dealing with a rough seed, sometimes you just have to remember, my opponent had to fight the same enemies I did.
Yeah, but you never feel like, you know, oh yeah, my opponent ran into all this terrible crap. It's like, my opponent breezed through this on the first attempt. Oh god, oh god, oh god, where's that dot done?
The other thing is, because Tyerenex has found 3 loose items, even without the items in his possession, he now knows he can go mode the rest of the game.
Yeah, now, Wandering Keeper is pointing out, oh, and MG Weirdo are both pointing out, Tyerenex's big problem is he doesn't have an in-game sword. He's got an ice sword, which is technically in-game. It's,
He's
as
got
I've
the
said
power
before,
gauntlet.
yeah, it is the
That's what he
weakest
has.
sword that I would feel comfortable taking into endgame, but it's also the weakest sword that I would feel comfortable taking into endgame, and I'm also a Maniac.
You still have checks to work in, and he took an easy one there. I mean, it's real easy to get another 10 chest checks in the rest of the game, just on your go mode route. Because you're going to get Sharknado and the 2 in the long room at Sea Shrines. That's 5 right there. You can swing over Sky 1 and get 6 chests just like that. That's 11 chests if you did nothing else. You get the 4 by the teleporter, that's 15. That's a lot of chances to pick up something.
I could see him maybe just full clearing Sky 3. He has enough warp shots to make that painless. And I could maybe see him, if he's still wanting a sword by that point, doing the 2 sides of Sky 1. Because again, he's got warp charges to spare. That's going to be easy enough. And Edgeworth finding that ribbon in the eye chest.
Yeah, that's really, really not what he wanted to see. He already had the 2 ribbons. That is an advantage he will have on Tyerenex, though, is having 3 ribbons instead of just 2. Yeah, it looks like Edgeworth has had enough and he gets out of there. He's still got the adamant, so he's got that turn in to do as well.
He's not going to Marsh Cave, Triton. Stop trying to make him go to Marsh Cave.
I'm just saying, in the general direction, that is where he's going to go, because he's going to do Crown and he's going to do Adamant. Those aren't even a question.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely what he's going to do. He's not going to go south after talking to Astos, though.
Not likely.
I mean, he might go south because it is the faster route to the Mirage Desert.
Okay, Tyerenex is about to try and even up the score of orbs.
I like how you're saying try, like he's not going to kill Lich in 2 turns.
I mean, Lich could have Nuke.
Yeah, you know who else has Nuke?
Tyerenex.
3 of casters on your Nexus side.
That is orb number 1.
Hey, Lich could have rolled high, and Tyerenex could have rolled low on the 3 nukes. Like, if Lich saved against the nukes, then Tyerenex could have wound up and had 800 HP, then he would have survived that first round. It's possible.
We're going to get some more information because Edgeworth is going to full clear this volcano. He's still looking for Lucite. So there's absolutely no reason he would leave these behind. Fast at level 6.
And in the slot where it's learnable. That is just making things harder on Edge.
That's really good news with the red mages because really kind of the minimum you want is 3. But he's going to have plenty of charges for that. There's the herb.
I always forget the little fetch quest, but we know at this point the herb's got to lead to Opal Bracelet, eventually.
Which he's still going to want because that's the best piece of armor that a red wizard is going to have.
MDef is not randomized. It is the one statistic that does not get touched by the randomizer because it would be chaos. Also, it makes chaos just unbearable. Sea Shrine is not incentivized in these flags, Chaumel.
Edgeworth found the Bane Sword and now is probably wishing he had done Volcano 1 before Ordeals. Katana's not going to do us any good. He went out and saved that. I didn't really see anything noteworthy other than the Bane Sword.
I mean, he's got the exits to spare, and it looks like he's trying to Dan his white mage, so... You know, you might as well spend it because you ain't gonna have it.
Volcano is usually one of the faster dungeons to do because of all the lava tiles. You route those in, you just don't take as many encounters. As long as you get the healing to survive it.
You're next going ahead and stocking up on heal potions before diving into Sea Shrine. I mean, he's probably planning on warping out by collecting the Fire Orb.
Most likely.
So
I don't think he's too worried about dying here.
Yeah, he doesn't need to worry about exit or warp charges. He just needs to hang the experience on his party. And oh, hey, look, bulls have Blaze.
Well, there's good news, bad news. Never mind, it's just all bad. Everything is bad.
I'm just
If I ever had sound
Sims...
effects to my stream, one of them is going to be, well, I'm not going to say it for copyright purposes, but it's a semi-famous quote about death, death.
I'm just gonna point out, Trenton, you rolled a seed where the safest dungeon so far has been Ice Cave.
That's an impressive feat. Actually, Earth might have been the best. Or no, wait, I guess Bulls.
Earth had the gargoyles.
Yeah, never mind.
No, Ice Cave.
It just went easier.
Ice Cave is the safest dungeon we have seen thus far.
Well, we're in Sea
oh,
Shrine now, and it hasn't killed us yet.
Well, we have unrunnable ghosts, so don't speak
they
so
hit weak.
soon.
They hit weak. It's not Death Touch. I think we need to repost this in the Discord as a challenge seed. Would anyone take it?
See, the best part is, I think knowing what's in this seed would just make it less likely.
I mean, you would be able to go get the level 3 nuke.
Yes, but you have to live long enough to cast it.
Yeah, well, that's always true.
And yeah, I noticed that too, Dangwoo. The ghosts are beefy.
What even is Edgeworth's weapon right now? On that night?
I don't know. I think he
didn't get the ice sword.
I think he may be swinging, like, the coral sword.
That could be.
Or maybe the
Something
were
in that
sword.
tier. Yeah, something in that
coral
tier
sword.
sounds right.
Because I think it's Coral and Dragon are stronger than, Oh, hey, there we go. Now we have an in-game sword on Tyrenex's side.
See, there you go. That's why I said you ride in Sharknado, you ride in Sky Castle. If you just plan that many chests, the odds are something's in your favor because there's so many things out there you could find. You could find defense, Sun, Masa, Vorpal. There's enough options that it was probably going to work out.
But yeah, I think it's Coral and Dragon are the two stronger of those four swords, and then Were and Rune are the next two down. And I can't remember Giant falls on the spectrum.
When it's an hour and 16 minutes in, and you find and equip a light axe on your one night.
Oh, he's swinging the light axe. Oh, good
He just
lord.
found it. He just found it and equipped it at an hour 16. That is not the weapon you want to be finding and equipping at 116.
Well, there's the Vorpal.
That's a little better.
That's preferable. Alright, one fine day dropping the knowledge in there, so it's... Giant is better than the Dragon Sword, but worse than the Bane Sword, and then the Bane Sword, I believe, is below Flame and Ice Swords.
Alright, Edgeworth versus Carry. This goes a little bit better now that he has Vorpals, so his damage output from his Knight's going to be better, but Nukes carry the day.
Okay, shoutouts to Silver Rain 64 in chat by, with the comment, I didn't know FF1R had swordless mode. That one made me laugh.
All Fiends, No Swords tournament next. All Orbs, No Swords. Oh god,
so
rhymes.
We just turn on poverty equipment randomization and call it a day. Or I guess chest randomization, whatever.
I don't know, but I do know Tyerenex is about to do battle with Kraken. Doesn't have Barak, but has plenty of nukes.
He has nukes and the Power Gauntlet and the Sun Sword. He's fine.
Well, I mean, as long as Kraken doesn't one-shot the Knight first turn, but obviously that didn't happen. You just don't know that in advance.
Okay, if he one-shots the Knight in one turn, you know what Tyerenex still has?
3 casters of nuke.
Yes. He didn't even swing his sword.
It's still not Barak.
It's still nuke!
Hey, did we know that Pizza had Squint? Because
yes, we did. They have Squint, and I think they have Glare as well. Tyerenex saw that, Where did Tyerenex see that? Did he see that last seed? I thought he saw it this seed. But yeah, Tyerenex, I think, got into a fight at one point where the Peds stunned one of his characters and then stoned another one. and then he killed.
Is this a good time to mention there's even more FF1 coming up tonight?
What was the question again?
Is this a good time to
head's
mention there's
cut
more FF1 tonight?
Yes, this is an excellent time to mention. Why don't you tell the fine folks at home about it?
Well, I need to ask them a question, so give me a minute, please. Or, anyways, it's Lord Fizzlebeef and Cleosis is scheduled to start at 9:30. And I am having to do admin stuff and check on information.
And there's a defensive flame shield for Tyerenex.
Was that your mic or headphones? Because that sounded like you were a mile away.
That was me having turned my boom mic, the boom on my headset up for a second, which I do constantly.
Okay.
But yeah, no, so...
Tyerenex just found defense swords, so yay!
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He found defense and flame shields, so... I imagine he is good on equipment. He may go ahead and turn in that herb, since I assume he's deuced that opal. And there's the X-Scal! Okay.
Yep, that'll do quite nicely. X-Scal plus Power Gauntlet will do just fine.
Yeah, and he is very unlikely to see that Vorpal, so...
No, I really can't imagine he checks that. I'm honestly surprised he's still checking these.
Well, they're free chests, and, you know, there is the chance he stumbles across a Maza. But...
Yeah,
I think
there's Masa, there's Ribbon 3. There are still options, but...
Also, he may have been looking to make sure he had enough money for you.
That is an important factor. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, you would want to be... Usually, if you want to be safe, you need 65k. You
Well, I think he
generally
had
safer
seen
with
it.
less. No, he didn't go up there. I'm pretty sure he had the money.
No, he did.
Way.
He had the airship, he flew up there.
Oh, okay.
But he had like 10k when he did it, so...
Well, Edgeworth just found the ruby.
The adversary asking, how much do you even check in Sky now? You check the 4 chests above the teleporter.
And I'm not even honestly sure if you do that.
I think you do.
That's about it.
Yeah, like, it's a quick check, and if you still know that there's a couple of things loose that you might want, it's 4 easy checks, and it gets you an extra fight if you are still hurting for XP. So...
To me, the only other case for anything to make is if you swing to the left or right rooms on Sky 1, just because there's 6 there, so...
Yeah, and like, even when I'm in go mode, I do usually swing to that right room, because it's the one that has more chests. I think it's 5 in the right room, 4 in the left room. So, you know, I'll check those 5, and I'll check the 4 teleporter, and... that's it. Those are the only chests that I always feel like checking in Sky, because I consider them mostly free. And with Warp in hand, then yeah, Sky 1 is absolutely free.
Edgeworth has found the loot. And now he's wondering, what is this seed?
Yeah, so...
It may be slightly less PG.
Yeah, so this is the moment of truth for Edgeworth. If he doubles back and goes to Marsh, then he's still in this. He is at a disadvantage, but he is still in this. If he goes to Sky, then he's going to need Tyerenex to run into some serious problems in Topher. And just RNG to not seeing those problems.
Nothing out of those 4. And Tyerenex may check the two that are commonly referred to as the validation chests, the ones behind the Phantom.
I could see him checking maybe the bottom Agama chest, but that's literally the only other chest I could see him checking, besides validation, like you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in go mode, taking any chests that involve extra steps is not ideal. And remember, we know what a position Tyerenex is in. He has no idea how many times Edgeworth went back into that Ordeals.
Yeah, the bottom chest in the Agama room is basically free. Like, I think you take one extra step to check it. So, I could see him, making that quick check and then moving on.
The other noteworthy thing is, because of how much walking around we had to do in this seed, the runners are at a higher level. This is a higher level than we're normally seeing in these flags at this point. And the entrance to Topher will probably be 23 to 25 range, I suspect.
Alright, so we have some folks who are filtering in here with questions, so let's give a quick rundown of what happened to this seed. So first of all, we had to reroll because Edgeworth suffered an unfortunate blue screen of death, but once we got the new seed rolled, we got a canoe and a bottle from the king and the princess. The canoe took us on a whirlwind tour of the inner sea that eventually got us to Matoya's cave, where Matoya had just left her crystal in one of her boxes, and we found it for her and handed it back, and she gave us a ship. So, sailing around for a while, we eventually decided to go to Ordeals. And for a while, I mean, that's the first place both runners pretty much went. Ordeals was a nightmare. Gargoyles had death touch, nightmares were unrunnable, and we're packing Blaze and a few other surprises. Like Mute. Mostly Mute. So, Tyerenex managed, after a few attempts, to get a fight with a nightmare that was alone, and he got turn order, killed it, and managed to get out of Ordeals without seeing any more Gargoyles. Edgeworth was not so lucky. He bumped into a bunch of Gargoyle fights, and when he didn't bump into Gargoyles, the nightmares got turn order and killed him. But eventually they both got through Ordeals, and that gave them the TNT. The TNT ultimately led to the key. The key drew him toward Marsh, which in this flag set, the incentive chest in Marsh is the locked chest. But what was loose in Marsh was the slab. The slab took them to Melmond, which was located at Melmond, which they translated and took to Lefane at Crescent Lake, where they got the floater from the Lupa Lupa Man. There's a bunch of other stuff that happened, but all of it's red herrings. For example, the chime was located at Astos, with the crown loose in Ice Cave. The cube is at Oasis, as the vendor item, which means that Edgeworth doesn't know that he needs to go back to Marsh. He skipped the top of Marsh Cave while digging other stuff out of it. And that is why the situation is where it is. Edgeworth is looking for his floater loose in Sky right now because he doesn't know his third loose item is the slab in Marsh Cave. And because he skipped Chest's Marsh Cave and it's Marsh Cave, that's the last place he's going to look. Soon. So, that's the TLDR of what's going on with this seed. And Tyerenex is now in go mode, having found the swords that he wants. Or at least the sword he can live with. And the power bonk and the white shirt. So, yeah.
The good news for Edgeworth is he's probably going to get Bosomune and Asia's shield. The bad news is because he's got a full clear sky and Mirage and doesn't need to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a positive.
I'm looking for positives right now, Lote. I'm trying to be positive for both. Oh, you're right. He is going for Agavus.
Yeah, see, I thought he would just check the bottom of that bottom chest, so he's going to pick up that Vorpal. Because if he's stepping on this trap tile, he's stepping on the other trap tile.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
I imagine that'll find its hands and way into the hands of one of the red mages, because why not?
Well, it's one of those things. Xcal is not ideal for Tiamat or Chaos. Just because it hits nicely, but it doesn't. Most of Xcal's strength comes from its ability, from its "oh, you have a weakness, that's cute" ability. So when you lose that on those final bosses, you know, the Vorpal's sometimes a better call than the Xcal.
Question in chat: does Edge have any advantage over Tyerenex? He will have the Moss Immune advantage, most likely. He'll have probably a slight armor advantage, and he will probably be a higher level.
And it's a third ribbon. Like, Edgeworth is probably going to have a defensive advantage over Tyerenex. Possibly. Where was the defense sword again?
Defense sword was Cardia Island, so Edge will quickly find that.
So Edgeworth is probably not going to check the Cardia Islands. Like, by the time he gets that floater, he is just going to be go, 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 go. Because he's going to be in go mode by the time once he finds the floater. So, outside the defense sword, though, I feel like Edgeworth has a defensive edge over Tyerenex with those ribbons and with the armor he's very likely to find, unless it's at Mermaids.
Alright, so Tyerenex, 1 hour, 30 minutes. That is a remarkable pace for the path, for the pace we saw at the start of this seed. I mean, I would never have expected we were going to get in here 1 hour and 30 minutes.
Well, it's one of those things, all of the bad stuff was shuffled off into other dungeons as far as we know.
Greater than, less than, had a pro ring, that's about all we've seen. Hi, Gas Dragons. As I like to call it, the encounter that broke the experience scale.
I think Edge did already check Keyllock TOF, so I think Marsh may be the only thing he has left after Sky Cave.
I thought Tyerenex did that. I don't recall seeing Edge do it.
Okay, maybe it was Tyerenex then. I know one of them did it.
I don't think he sailed back just to do that. Could be wrong. So does Tyerenex check these two? I mean, if this seed wants to come up with any more Tyerenex, Masamune would be here.
But
we'll never know.
Well, we might know if Edgeworth decides to look in them, but Tyerenex has decided he is satisfied with what he's got, he's going to go for it.
The worm! Xcal has that, so that's just good levels. He's actually only level 22. I thought he'd be higher than this coming in here, but he got through the dungeons so fast that he just didn't get a lot of experience.
Yeah, Sky Cave. This is how the game works. You have Marsh Cave, Ice Cave, Volcano Cave, Earth Cave, Waterfall Cave, Ordeals Cave, Sky Cave, Sea Cave. Am I leaving any off?
Topher Cave.
Yeah, Cave of Fiends, you're right. Oh yeah, and Sarda Cave. Oh yeah, and Astos lives in Northwest Cave. And of course you have the Dwarf Cave.
Edge sees an opal helmet and isn't even gonna bother with that.
Oh look! The Kermaduses have crack!
If Edge had kept the double knights, he might have done that, but that was the first seed, not this seed. I'm watching to see if Edge finds anything, because I'm hoping he's going to find Masamune to at least get some value out of this.
Alright, well I'll keep an eye on Tyerenex then. Teamwork.
Something like that.
Remember, folks, vote Gurmedusa this tournament's mascot.
The runaway write-in candidate.
Hey, sometimes democracy just works like that. Wow, this is an encounter.
It definitely happened. Guess he didn't have enough information about what their HP was.
I think it looks like it was probably in the 200 to 300 range. But
I just mean like back in Volcano, I don't think he saw one to know how much health it had.
yeah, he didn't.
But
these
then, Glare.
I mean, these are unrunnable, so he has no choice.
And they have Glare. So, rip that Red Mage. But
It's
hey,
a good
life
thing.
is like it doesn't even happen.
What is with Tyerenex and just finding multiple unrunnables in a row?
I mean, I think that's the way the RNG table shuffled in this one more than anything. Question in chat, so who doesn't get X-Cal bonus? As far as bosses, Chaos. If you want the full list, then that is in the Discord. Meridian, one of our developers, has posted that. And I still haven't seen Masa pop up for Edge.
Well, he's gonna
But
have.
come on, can't he even have
no!
that? See, can't he even have that?
There's that pack of Gurmedusas. He probably is gonna get out of it without seeing the crack, but I mean, he's got ribbons on his 3 standing party members, I'm sure, but you still don't want to see that.
You're okay with seeing it as long as it doesn't work.
Okay, the way the seed has gone for Edgeworth, do you really want to bet against 3 and 256 at this point?
No, you don't.
No, you don't!
I don't think he'd bet against 1 and 256 right now. Oh, Woad, aren't you glad you joined me for this one?
I am absolutely glad. Also, I'm just going to surreptitiously check my bracket real quick.
Hey, chat, aren't you glad you're here enjoying this race? Give us your favorite emote, chat. How about that? Also, thanks, Ali, for doing our tracking this evening. And Speed Gaming, too, for hosting the Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer tournament tonight.
I'm not going to update my bracket, but you probably need to let Tristal know that y'all never actually closed off brackets.
Whatever. For the predictions. Free gold bracelet. And Tyerenex has the seafood party platter and just moves on. Oh, the waters have glance. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have glance? Yeah, I need to get the bunker ready to hide under when they're done with this seed. We still ain't seen Kraken 2 yet.
Or Tia 2, or Chaos.
Edgeworth just found an ice sword, which at an hour and 38 minutes in, well, second best. He found the world.
More more consistent. The best consistent sword he's found.
I think with the crit rate, the average damage from Warple would be pretty clearly ahead, but that would involve math, and I'm not going to do that while live on Twitch. It always betrays you. And that was a very paper Kraken too. Well, I mean, he dipped a little bit. That low HP.
superstition, I realize, but whenever I see a weak Kraken 2, it's just like, oh god, where did all of the danger go? Is it on Tiamat or is it on Chaos?
Opener of nukes for Tiamat, who's over 500 HP. But should be going down this round. That's over 800 damage so far, and he's still standing.
Yeah, I think it's Tiamat can wind up with like 2,300 in these flags.
That doesn't sound right at all. His base is like 800.
I thought Tiamat was the TA2 was like 1,000 or 1,200.
The Tyerenex is through. 1,100 base. Okay. Thanks for the info, chat. So yeah, that wouldn't be an unreasonable number at all.
Yeah.
Edgeworth has full cleared sky at this point, I think, and has, like, nothing. Like, there just wasn't any honorable mentions, byproducts, that Ice Sword was the best thing he found.
I think that he hasn't checked Sky 3 yet. I think all that time was just getting through Sky 2 because he was taking fights the whole way.
Here we go, Tyerenex versus Kraken, round 1. I'm counting turns this round, it's not that. I'm not predicting it down. I would do no such thing. We have not seen a lot of the nastiness that these fiends can roll. We've not seen nukes, we've not seen nuclear. He's getting a lot of buffs onto this Excalibur. He's got the defense sword to get ruse, 3 of those, and you're at max evade, so the only way Chaos is going to get a physical hit in is with a crit. Now, we've also not seen Cure 4 from the bosses. Or fast. You know, we didn't see that either.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if this Chaos has any high evasion, this could be a problem.
He stacked the buffs. The out of nukes? 500 damage is a very good hit. If you're getting that, you're going to get this Chaos.
Yeah, it would take something really unfortunate at this point.
260, so that was a lot of crits on that one. Still around 600 damage.
Yeah, this Chaos is spell happy, and that's... without Nuke in his spell repertoire, that's not gonna help him.
This has been quite the seed. 700 damage, that is enough! Chaos is defeated, and Tyerenex is our winner with a time of 1:42:48, and Edgeworth has said, that's enough for me.
Can you blame him?
No, I think I'm gonna hide from him.
Hold on, I don't...
Hi, Edgeworth! Hi, Tyerenex. Trenton said something about finding a bunker to hide under, and then jumped out the window, so I'm here for your interview.
Okay. I can hear you now.
Aw, I thought that was funny, and you missed it. Anyway, GG, guys.
Thank you.
So you may have wanted the reroll, the first seed back in there, but Tyerenex, you agreed for the reroll, and then there was a lot of death in this seed, but you kept me way forward.
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. I really thought about doing that. I kind of thought that waterfall play was dumb, but I was like, I could probably get through it with 10 tries or something like that. I don't know. I'm down here. Didn't really end up leading to much, if I remember right.
No, I don't think it... What did it lead to? It led to the Adamant, and Adamant was the Ruby, and Ruby just got you the loot. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nasty. really glad I had all those Life 2 casters.
So Edge, you did the early party reroll to get exit, and there were some benefits of that, but really it was a lot of castle ordeals this seed. And we do not have your mic working. So
Oh yeah, that place is nasty too.
Oh, there's Edge. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it took me a half hour to get through it.
Yeah, Tyerenex wound up getting good turn order on a single nightmare, and then didn't see the gargoyles while clearing out the top floor.
Exactly. That's why I kind of figured I had lost at that point, which is why I did all the weird routing decisions afterwards, none of which paid out. So where was the floater anyway?
So the slab was in the top left chest on Marsh, and that led straight to the floater. So it was basically going to be the last place you would have looked, just about, if you'd kept going.
Yeah.
So a best of series, you get to do this all again. What would you like next time other than me not rolling the seed?
Could I have the first seed back?
Yeah, that first seed was fun.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably going to, go generate that seed since I can go pull it from the chat, and I might run through it just to see how it would have ended up.
It could be an interesting no routing. Knowing it. Well, we have got more great randomizer action coming up. Fizzle Beef and Wookleosis is going to follow us, so Tyerenex, anything you want to add?
No, we're back to this fun tomorrow, I guess. GG Edge, see you tomorrow.
Yep, GG.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I do have one question before we go. Was it weird playing a seed where Ice Cave was kind of the breather?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up going. That was one of the last ones I went to, but yeah, there wasn't really much to it. I kind of figured I got fortunate on the Nightmare turn order because I got to him once and he blazed me to death, and then the second time through, I got, I only had one, and then he died to a couple Ice 2s on turn order, and I don't know if Red Gargoyles had something nasty. I never saw
Death Touch.
Oh, okay, yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah, that's what tripped Edgeworth up, is basically every time he managed to get past the nightmares, he'd immediately get caught by the gargoyles if the gargoyles didn't catch him on his way to the nightmares.
So I either got good run or I just was on a different encounter. Just never saw him. That's how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anywho, yeah, let's go ahead and get cleared out of here so the next crew can go ahead and start getting set up. But thanks for sticking with us, folks. I'm glad y'all enjoyed this seed, and for the folks saying this is going to be a tough act to follow, just you wait. This next match is going to be... It's going to be just as exciting, I guarantee it.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thanks
So,
to
yeah.
both our runners. Thanks to Ali Kerbrap doing the tracking. Thanks Speed Gaming 2 for hosting us. Walt for working with me. And thank you to each and every one of you who tuned in this evening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great rest of your night.